Well, would you look at that? I think Joe Scarborough is having a case of mistaken identity, and I can understand why. And it's because he's afraid. He's afraid of losing his job. Trish Regan, she shared how MSNBC is making changes now. MS now. Rachel Maddow, Mad Cow, was not too thrilled about that and likely on her way out the door, which would mean that Mika and Joe will probably be not too far behind.
Comcast can't wait to get rid of MSNBC. And they are making sure that MSNBC gets rid of its name. As you know, we've talked about this. They're going to become MS Now, my source for news, opinion, world, lovely, rather than MSNBC. And they're getting rid of the peacock and no more colors. They've suddenly gone red, white, and blue. It's like, wow, what's happening? Well, Joe Scarborough tried to explain it. Survivor that he is, he actually sounds like he might even be on board. Of course, it's his paycheck.
We will become MS Now, which stands for my source for news, opinion, and the world. And look, Andrew, they even have a graphic up. I like it.
There it is.
Actually,
the new logo.
It looks very sporty.
Very sporty. Apparently they called him, they told him, they gave him a warning, which is a little bit better than Rachel Maddow. They did call and give her a warning, but then she spoke to Variety and she said she didn't even know how to say the name. So she clearly wasn't too happy. But insiders say she's probably going to leave, either of her own accord or because the network simply can't have this kind of liability anymore. Again, Joe's out there trying to help the Democrat Party find its future, and he's saying, hey, you got to care about everyday people. You got to care about, blue-collar workers. You can't be on and on about all this trans stuff and sports stuff and all this stuff that nobody cares about. But she's not following that line of thinking. She's got a very different kind of prescription, if you would, for all of this. Meanwhile, if you look at what Lazarus is saying, this is the guy, Mark Lazarus, who's the chief executive of this new Versant. I keep calling it Versant. It's actually Versant. But, I'm trying to give them a little panache. Anyway, the Comcast spinoff that's going to be a total disaster. I don't know, how this company possibly succeeds, because if I'm a shareholder, you think I want this? No. It's actually great for Comcast because they're preserving the better parts of the company. CNBC's decent, but let's face it, you can check all your stocks on your device. You can get honest research, not, analysts that are buying commercials on the network, right? Seriously. All these big banks buy commercials on CNBC and then they have their analysts on. So it becomes this total inside baseball game. You can get real honest to God research. Go to my company, 76 Research. We chose 76, by the way, for a reason. Get it? 1776. Kind of an important time. Got a big birthday coming up, right? 250. So go to 76research.com and check out that. But this guy is saying, look, we think that it will help avoid confusion between viewers of NBC News and MSNBC. They're still going to have CNBC, though. So I think this is really about something else. It's about trying to distance itself from the likes of Rachel Maddow and all the toxic nonsense that we've heard over there. Here's Donald Trump talking about it.
Then you turn to CNN, which is fake news and nobody watches it, or MSDNC, they changed, MSNBC, they changed their name now because they were so bad. But they're the worst, owned by Comcast, run by a guy named Brian Roberts, who doesn't have a clue. He's terrible manager. But they're not, I don't think, selling it. They're changing the name because they're ashamed of it, and they're disassociating it from NBC, which is also fake news. They should be ashamed of that too. But a lot of fake news. I think the news is getting better. They're learning that they have no credibility. ABC, CBS was just sold to a great person that I know very well. A great man. He actually just bought CBS, and I think he's going to do the right thing with it. NBC is run terribly by Comcast. I call it Comcast because it's a whole con.
So yeah, it's not going to fix anything, right? It really won't fix anything. They're just kind of, how shall I say, done for, in that there's a few things going on, and we've talked about this before, but the reality is this industry has changed, and it's changed massively. The fact that I can be here with you in a way that's way more cost effective, realistically, right? Granted, we deal with audio issues and camera issues from, time to time, but I don't have to have, 100 people working here. And yet that's what you've got at all these big networks. And so there's an opportunity there for people to go and seek out personalities that they like and that are transparent and forthcoming. And that's exactly what certainly I am. There's no scripts, there's no middle management, and it's a very different kind of experience. And so the MSNBCs of the world that are out there doing all this commentary, et cetera, and you know where they're coming from every day of the week, they are going to be increasingly challenged. I don't really see how they have a future there at MS Now or whatever they're calling it. In other words, the name change is not going to matter. As for other people, will they have a future there? I mean, again, Rachel Maddow doesn't want to seem to get with the program. On the other hand, you had Joe and Mika going right down to Mar-a-Lago, right? The very next day, putting on their suit and tie. I mean, we actually saw Joe in a suit and tie after the election. That was like a miracle. Like, he never wears a suit and tie. All of a sudden, like, you can tell, oh, he knows and knew which way the wind was blowing, right? Suit and tie it was, and he went down to Mar-a-Lago to make nice with Donald Trump because lots of changes are coming. And one, I think it tells you he's a bit of a phony. Okay, fine. Two, it tells you he knows where his bread is buttered and he's not willing to perhaps take a chance on his own. And three, it just reflects the reality of the world. As for the other one, Rachel Maddow on at night, she's having a much harder time with all of it. She had this epic meltdown about Donald Trump beautifying D.C. and cleaning up D.C. and actually saying, okay, we're not going to have any more illegal thugs on the streets of D.C. And somehow that's a bad thing. I mean, it's a really weird position for the Democrats to be in when suddenly you're on the side of defending crime. I mean, you want to talk about brilliant politics. That was brilliant on behalf of Donald Trump, because they're out there saying, no, it's fine. It's like everybody knows it's not fine, for goodness sakes. And yet Rachel had this total epic meltdown telling me and telling you and telling her bosses effectively she's not moving forward with the new program. And she's got no audience. Watch.
And, listen, you can narrow or widen the aperture as much as you want. You can look at the very big picture or the small local picture anywhere in the country. And we try to do as much of both of those things as we can every week here on this show. But whether you're looking at small-scale local stories or the biggest picture stories about what's happening in our country, the story is the same. And it is now an undeniable thing. We have crossed a line. We are in a place we did not want to be, but we are there. The thing we were all warning about for the last few years is not coming. It is here. We are in it. This is what it likes, it turns out. This is what it's like, right? It's August. It's a Monday. Every day the sun rises and the sun sets, and there are, sports and movies, and there are new hit songs. There are scandals here and there. There are crimes. There's everybody's personal quotient of family drama and health worries and money worries, and falling in and out of love and in and out of faith.
Ooh,
life
poetic.
Has not stopped, and none of our personal lives have stopped. But also, at the same time, life in the United States is profoundly changing, is profoundly different than it was even 6 months ago. Because we do now live in a country that has an authoritarian leader in charge. We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country.
Whoa!
And it
okay,
sounds melodramatic
so
to say
that's
it.
what I needed you to hear.
And so what they're attempting here, if it's not Mika and Joe and Morning Joe, it is actually their entire team, producers and everyone else involved, of trying to find some new lane of relevancy or relatability or a way to resonate with America, with this country that is pretty much speaking loud and clear as to what they want and what they don't want. And what they don't want is to be murdered for the most part.
Concern is you have leaders in Chicago that see this. As you say, we've been reading about this for years now. Every weekend, and maybe crime has gone down. But, we had the mayor of Chicago on last week saying, oh, we don't need any more police officers. Police officers aren't the answer. No police officers. I think he said no 5 times. You look what's happening this weekend. You look so, I actually think that J.B. Pritzker should do something radical. I think he should pick up the phone, call the president, and say, you know and I know you don't have the constitutional authority to deploy the National Guard here and to police my you can do that in D.C., you can't do that in Chicago. But let's partner up. These are the most dangerous parts of my state. We would love to figure out how to have a partnership that's constitutional, that respects the sort of balance of federalism between the federal government and the state government. And let's work together to save lives. Because right now, just hey, nothing to see here moving along. No problem here. Hey, Donald Trump, we don't need you. And, the mayor talking about we're going to protect people's dignity in our city. Well, protect their lives. That's protecting their dignity. It would be radical for us to figure out a way to actually do what I've been saying from the very beginning on Washington, and that is seeing politicians creating partnerships that protect their people. Yeah.
Rapid Response 47, folks. MSNBC on Chicago's crime crisis. At least 54 people were shot, and this is just over Labor Day weekend. 7 killed. In one instance, a teenage girl was hit with a stray bullet, and those numbers just keep piling up.
In Chicago over the weekend, at least 54 people were shot. This is just over Labor Day weekend, 7 killed. Several of the incidents were mass shootings with multiple victims at a single scene. In one instance, a teenage girl was hit with a stray bullet. The violence comes as President Trump threatens to send federal agents and National Guard troops to Chicago to quell the crime there, despite objections from the city's mayor, Brandon Johnson, and Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. Unfortunately, Joe, this is not unusual in Chicago, which has been plagued by gun violence for generations, not years, for generations.
54 people shot this weekend in Chicago, 7 killed. I mean, and those numbers just keep piling up.
President Trump posts, Chicago is the murder capital of the world. Yet, feckless leadership, J.B. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, want to do all they can to not let Chicago become the next D.C., which inevitably has become very, very safe, and the crime is gone.
As we've seen multiple mass shootings here in the city of Chicago, over 50 victims of gun violence, several people dead. We've made the best argument for Donald Trump to say that action is necessary right now.
In Chicago, everybody got to get down. Everybody got to get down because they shoot. Everybody down. Mayor Johnson, you are a fucking coward. A real life coward.
They're an embarrassment. J.B. Pritzker, an embarrassment. And that is sad and tragic. Can you imagine? You can't even go to your little league football game because it's in Chicago and it's just crime ridden, and the mayor and governor don't want to do anything to keep and protect citizens of Chicago and keep them safe. Hey guys, make sure you stay locked in. President Trump has made an announcement, or at least Trump will be making a special announcement related to the Department of Defense, okay? And that's according to Caroline Leavitt. So make sure you guys stay tuned. You don't want to miss that.
We're very pleased about the progress that we're making. I know that I live rent-free in the president's head, and I wish he would spend some time in Chicago so that he could see what a lovely city we have.
Governor, quick follow-up. What do you do if the National Guard is activated and comes here?
The only thing more embarrassing would be perhaps maybe being Bill Belichick. Suffering quite a loss to TCU and and to Randy Moss, apparently, as well. Oh, shit. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Is this thing on? Let me know. Hit that like button. Drop a comment. Subscribe to the channel. Do me a favor. Share this with anyone that may find it useful and helpful. Help this video go viral, but more importantly, help our seniors. Help our seniors get connected to experts for the best coverage and savings for them. Avoid wasting money Avoid missing out. Avoid any of the long list of changes that are coming for Medicare in 2025, third quarter, fourth quarter, and 2026. The time is coming, rapidly approaching. And if you miss out, if you miss the deadlines, then it could cost you tremendously. Give our friends over at Chapter a call, 270-467-2426. The link is down below. And some important information here to share with you guys. So take a look. And if you are interested in saving money, specifically on your Medicare, then make sure you give our friends at Chapter a call. And I want you guys to really, really pay attention here, because it's come to my attention that most seniors are not on the best Medicare plan. They're either overpaying for the same coverage they could get elsewhere, or they don't have the coverage they need in an emergency. Chapter can review your options in under 20 minutes. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy, and it's free. If you're already on the best possible plan, they'll tell you they're unbiased and they're purely here to help folks, seniors, save money on healthcare, on average $1,100. And if you're not on the right plan, they'll help you switch, even if it's to a plan that pays them nothing. Again, unbiased, folks. This is unique and unlike any other Medicare provider out there. And this is exactly why we love Chapter so much, because they're literally just trying to help people. Chapter works for you, not big insurance or the government. And there's no pressure, just honest, free advice from professionals who know Medicare inside and out.
Boy, I mean, Pam, I got to say, watching Speaker Johnson try to walk this tightrope where he's like, I know what the base wants. I know what the MAGA base wants. They want this to keep going. They want more answers. And then trying to also, protect his guy, Donald Trump. Just watching him try to strike this balance here is really, because Donald Trump doesn't want the information released. He doesn't want it.
You said protect him. Protect him from what?
Donald Trump wants this to go away. But the MAGA base does not.
I just want to know what you think he needs to be protected from.
From this information coming out.
What information?
From the information from DOJ.
About what, though? What would he need protection from?
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I want you to go ahead and make the allegation in front of the American people here.
Okay. The bottom line is, Donald Trump would like for this not to be.
You don't have the guts to do it.
He would like for the Epstein drama to not be in the news every single day, which is why he's deflecting by putting the National Guard in different cities and trying to get in fights with governors and mayors across the country, when the bottom line is this is what the MAGA base wants. Speaker Johnson can adjourn Congress, way too early than they should have been adjourned to try to avoid this. But now they're coming back and they have to face, this challenging fracture within the MAGA base that we've seen happen over the course of the last few months.
There's no fracture in the Republican Party over this. And I don't know what they're going to do. I will say,
this is actually an interesting topic here. CNN Scott Jennings dares Democrat strategists Adrienne Elrod to claim President Trump is covering up the Epstein files, but she backs down, terrified of being sued for defamation. You don't have the guts to do it, do ya? Do ya? Whatever happened to that? Whatever happened to that? Do you remember when that was all the rage in the news, and then now it's nothing. Now it's crickets. Completely forgotten about, I guess, maybe. But I remember covering it and talking about it and seeing how the tide was shifting, and even perhaps maybe feeling in a similar situation to Joe Scarborough, as we saw earlier in this video, and trying to really hone in on and the pulse of your audience and your fan base, your subscribers, your friends, your family, folks that you thought were riding with you and would understand you, but apparently the algorithm always wins. Speaking of being forgotten, President Trump says he will be adding a portrait of Joe Biden's auto pen to his presidential wall of fame in the newly renovated White House Rose Garden, and it's going up in about 2 weeks, Trump told. And he says, I can't freaking wait for the Democrat meltdown. The meltdown is going to be epic. And speaking of meltdowns, Democrats are just batting 1,000. Jasmine Crockett unveils a new ghetto accent in her most recent meltdown. I can't believe this bad-built, butch body, poor excuse for a congresswoman now drawn out of her district and forced ostracized out into the abyss, further away from any sort of relevancy than even Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski, Rachel Maddow, and MSNBC. Jasmine Crockett, I don't even know how she ever got a vote or appointed, but at the same time, or elected, I'm sorry, but at the same time, this is exactly what matters, folks. This is exactly what we should be. We should shout this from the rooftops, because Jasmine Crockett is essentially two-faced, bait and switch, clickbait, bullshit nonsense. And now she's just going to code switch to get whatever she wants or thinks that she could possibly get. And she didn't give a shit about her district, her constituents, voters, Democrats, anyone, Texans, only herself, folks. Jasmine Crockett. I present to you the new, dare I say, improved Jasmine Crockett. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy, because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you. And the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true, because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...